Hi everybody, my name's Chad Barker. I'm going to be showing you today a little bit more about our finished in panels for our base cabinets. In particular, we're going to be looking at an applied door in panel. That's going to be really cool. So the thing I like about the applied door in panel is it really does match up nicely with the face. Okay. This option right here is basically the one with the squared edges on the outside. So to get started, let's just kind of get our bearings here and see where exactly we're ordering this product from. Homepage on the website. I'm going to click on base cabinets, the very first category, and then I'm going to go right down here to in panels. Clicking on that. Now I've already done another video for the slab in panels, but today we're going to be going over on the applied door base cabinet in panels. Let's click on that. Alright, so here we go. Getting started, I'm going to give you a full-on breakdown of these two options. That's what most people have these questions about. Most customers have questions about. So we have two different options here. We have standard shaped outside edges, and we have squared outside edges. Okay? Now, the most common that people want to use for a base cabinet in panel is going to be the one with the squared outside edges and the wider bottom rail. And let's get into that right now of why exactly using the squared outside edges is better. Okay. In a lot of cases, some people will be trying to do different things, but this is the one. As you can tell here, you get a wide bottom rail and a wide top rail. Now, on islands and other in panels and stuff like that, sometimes people want to add an outlet, and they have to use this for code reasons. Okay. Now the code says that you can have a certain size outlet, and I can't remember exactly what that is. Apologies for that, but we made this top rail big enough to the point where you could actually do a horizontal outlet here. And now if you're doing an island in panel, that's great. You'll be able to add that right onto the side there and have no issues. Now down here at the bottom, you might be saying, why do you have such a wide bottom rail? Okay. And the bottom rail is going to be a lot wider because what we want to do is we want to make everything have design. It needs to be correct. It needs to be visually correct when you look at it. You know, this is one of my pet peeves is when you go into somebody's house and the rails do not line up from here to here. Okay, that's just terrible. I don't know why somebody would do a cabinet layout that doesn't incorporate this. But anyway, we make the bottom rail so that everything lines up nice and flush all the way across the room. Now most people probably won't even care or would ever notice, but we like to make sure that it has some sort of design aspect there. So. Outside edge details. Outside edge detail on this thing is going to be squared, like it says in the description of that option. Now, doing a squared outside edge detail means that we can drop it down to the floor. Now, imagine just how funny this thing would look if we had an edge detail going all the way around the door, and then this thing ran down to the floor. It just wouldn't look right. So we keep it squared outside edge. That way, you can even do a piece of base molding across here, going over, and then die it back into the face of the toe kick. Okay, very simple. All right, let's take a look at the top view of our in panel with a squared in panel. Now you're going to be looking at the width of the actual in panel. Okay, so the width is going to be real simple. The width is always going to be 3/4 of an inch. Okay, 3/4 of an inch from here to here. It's the thickness basically of any cabinet door that we produce. It's always going to be 3/4 of an inch. Okay, now the depth from the front to the back, or sorry, from the back to the front in this case. You're going to notice that you can only come up with certain increments. That's not right. Let me see if I can draw this dimension in here for you. There we go. All right, it's 24 5/8. So you look at it and say, well, why do I need a 24 5/8, Chad? You're trying to put it on a 24-inch base cabinet. So 24 inch from the back of this cabinet to the front of the case, and we got a 24 5/8 from the back of the finished in panel to the front of the finished in panel. Now, the reason we do that is looking at top view here. You kind of see we want the edge of this in panel to line up with the edge detail on the door. Now, this is a CAD drawing, so I apologize. It's not completely accurate, but technically this will actually sit out about a 1/16 of an inch, and this will all line up on site. And again, that's just more about the design and the quality that people need to be concerned about. It just creates a nice flush look, very full overlay, and all you can really see is the doors. It's just a great look. Okay, so with all this said, it's much better to do a 24 5/8 in this case, deep from front to back in panel, and then that'll actually line up with the edge details on the front of the door. So, okay, moving on. Let's see here. Height. For the height of the door, or the in panel, applied door in panel here. In this case, since it's got the squared edges, we're going to go from the floor to the ceiling, or from the floor to the top of the cabinet. If this cabinet's 34.5 inches tall from the floor to the top, 34.5 from top to the bottom. Pretty simple. All right, moving on. Let's take a look at the next option here, and we're going to be looking at the one that says standard shaped outside edges. Okay, and just like it shows right here, let me kind of expand this for you. Sorry about that. basically what we want to do is anytime you have an outside edge detail on your thing, this is basically just an actual applied door. Like really, there's just no hinges drilled on the back, but it's built the exact same way as the door on the front. So it's pretty simple. You just apply this to the outside edge of your cabinet. Again, the profiles all line up, just like we talked about a second ago. But the one thing you need to watch out for if you're doing just a regular applied door is if you have the outside edge detail on, you got to make sure you subtract 4 inches from the height. And the reason you do that is you can't run the thing down to the floor. It just looks funny. Okay, take your height from the top of the cabinet to the bottom, and all of our toe kicks from here to the bottom of the doors on the front is going to be 4 inches tall. So take the height of your cabinet, subtract 4 inches. So in this case, this cabinet's 34.5 from top to bottom. Take 4 inches off of that, it's 30.5. Okay, so 30.5 would be the height you'd enter to get this applied door in panel if you want to keep the shaped outside edges. Okay, and that's again this option, shaped outside edges. Make sure you subtract 4 inches for the toe kick, and then just run toe skin along the face here, and it'll look real nice. Okay. On islands, I would highly recommend using the squared outside edges. Okay, it just looks a lot better. It makes it look like the island's built into the floor. It's great. Okay, width, we talked about that. The thickness, basically the thickness of the door. So width is going to be 3/4 of an inch. Height, always depending on which one you do. If you do squared, you're going to want to make sure this is the overall height of the cabinet, so 34.5 in this case. Now let's just say you decided to go with shaped outside edges, standard shaped outside edges. You want to do 30.5. Okay, because you want to take 34.5 top of the cabinet to the bottom of the cabinet, subtract 4 inches for the toe kick. It's 30.5. Pretty simple. Depth, obviously 5/8 increments. Cabinet that we're doing here is 24 inches. So we're going to order a 24 and 5/8 depth cabinet, or depth in panel. Okay. Down here, we're going on wood type. You're going to want to make sure that matches up with whatever you're doing on the front of your cabinet. So if you do alder, do cherry, or any of these things, just make sure you choose the right one. And then the door/drawer front style. Now, obviously, this is where you really want to make sure it matches up with the front, because let's say you're doing Windsors on the front of your cabinet. Make sure you do Windsors on the side, and all the edge details and everything will match up, and the design will just be perfect, flawless. So, advanced option, pre-finishing for the doors and drawers. It's pretty simple. It's just one single door. It's not that expensive to have it finished. That's a clear coat, 2 coats of sealer, 2 coats of clear conversion varnish. It's a furniture grade finish, which means that it is water resistant. It also has a really nice sheen and is extremely smooth because we spray it on. And anyway, it's done in automotive spray booths, and you should see the video on the spraying. It's pretty cool. So if you have any further questions, feel free to give us a call or email. It's Chad, CHAD, @barkercabinets.com. Thanks again, and have a great day.